Most people who grew up the way I did are trying to break generational curses. Now, generational curses come in a variety of ways. Most of us grew up around bad marriages. They grew up around bad marriages where you see toxic marriages. There's divorces in the family. There's GPV in the family. There's all of the bad stuff in marriages. We grew up around poverty. We grew up around poverty, seeing people not having anything to eat, seeing people living lives that they don't want to live, seeing people living in poverty. We went to schools that were not the best schools. We've seen people who grew up around that. Our families did not go to the best schools. So that those are the generational curses that we are trying to break living in this life today. So I want to tell you a few things about generational curses. I want to tell you how to fix generational curses today. The first thing I need to tell you is that the only way to fix those things, the only way to have a great marriage, the only way to have money, the only way to have a degree or a PhD or whatever, the only way you're gonna break that curse is if you change yourself. You can never get those things if you don't change yourself. If your family has been living in poverty and you don't change yourself, your situation won't change. Your situation won't change. So that's the first thing I want you to know today, that if you want to break that generational curse, if you want to be the first person in your family to have a good marriage, then you have to change inside. Inside here, you have to change. You have to break. If you want a breakthrough, you have to break yourself. You have to break that cycle. That's the first thing. You see, you will never get those things. You will never get that degree. You will never get that first car in your house. You'll never have that first. You'll never build your family a house if you don't change here inside. And that entails changing your habits. One of the most important things you have to change today is your habits. You have to change your sleeping habits. You have to change your drinking habits. You have to change your working habits. You have to change your money habits. You have to change your saving habits. That is what it's going to take for you to be the first graduate in your family. That is what it's going to take for you to be the first millionaire in your family. That is what it's going to take for you to become that person that you want to be, to become that wife, that husband, that marriage that lasts 20, 30, 40, 50 years, that marriage that lasts forever. You are going to have to change your habits. The habits you are doing right now, those are the ones that are keeping you in poverty. Look at your habits today. What habits do you have? What are your sleeping habits? What are your working habits? What are your spending habits? What are your saving habits? What habits can you change today that will break that generational curse? Because it will never break, and we are tasked with breaking that generational curse. It has to end with us. It has to end with us. We have to be the first people to build our families' homes. We have to be the first people in our families to buy cars. Some families have never had a car. You are the first person who has the chance, the opportunity to buy a car, but you will never do that if you do not change inside. If you do not change yourself, if you do not break yourself, if you carry on the same way, your kids will live the same way. Your kids will live the same way. It has to stop with you. It has to stop with us today. It has to stop with us today so that we can be that first graduate in our family. Imagine that, being the first graduate in your family. Imagine being the first person to buy a car in your family, coming, hootering up, beep, 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 beep. Imagine being the first millionaire in your family and supporting every single person that you want to support in your family. Imagine having a 20-year marriage, 10-year marriage, 5-year marriage, 50-year marriage. Imagine that. That is what it's going to take. You must change your habits. You must change yourself today so that you can break those generational curses. Let's break those generational curses today. That is what we are tasked with. That is what we are tasked with, and we can do it. We have seen people do it. I've seen a lot of people break those curses. I can also do it. I can do it as well, and you as well can do it. It does not matter what happens outside. It does not matter how you grew up. It does not matter how much money you have. It does not matter where you come from. What matters is inside. Change yourself inside. Change your habits inside here, and the outside world will give you what you want.